Let's see if we're rolling. Yeah, okay. Okay, welcome back. Math 1530. We're on the 1.1. Graphs and graphing utilities. A lot of teachers don't like to teach how to use your calculator. I figure most people know how to use it by now. You probably had to use it in your previous class. So just go over some minor points. Anyways, we want to also talk about graphs. So graphs, first off, just plotting points in ordered pairs. So yeah, every once in a while I get a student who's never seen a graph. Usually they're from foreign countries. I had one from South America once who just had never seen it. Their teachers never taught them this. And anyways, we look at the XY plane. There's 4 parts to it. Whoops, actually. It goes 1, 2, and then 3, and then 4. And we can put points in the plane. So let me put some tick marks on our axes. This is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. Okay. We want to plot some points. So we want to plot the point A at negative 1, 2, B at 0, 3, C at 3, 0, and then D at 2, negative 1. So to get the point A, I move to the left. So this tells me right or left, and this tells me up or down. Okay, so go left by negative 1, and then up 2. 2. This, so that's A. B, so I don't move, and then I go up 3. So don't move, and then 1, 2, 3. So there's B. C, move to the right 3, and then don't move. So 1, 2, 3. C. And then finally for D, go to the right 2, and then down 1. 2. D. Okay, so hopefully we've dealt with that to everybody's satisfaction. Point 2, we want to worry about graphs of these things. And the most tried and true method for graphing an equation would be the point plotting method. Okay, so you just create a table of values, and then you use this method here to plot the different points, and there you have it. Point plotting method. Okay, so we want to look at number 23. We want to plot this thing. You see the absolute value symbol in there. So the absolute value, whenever you put something in here, the output will be the positive of whatever it is you put in here. Okay? So if you put in absolute, just to the side here, if you had the absolute value of negative 3, that's equal to 3. The absolute value of 3 is also equal to 3. Okay? So anything you put in here, it just removes the negative sign. If there's no negative sign, it just stays the same. Okay. Okay. So number 23, then I'm going to do a t-table. Okay. And I'm going to go from negative 2 to positive 2. Okay. And I'm just picking these x values. Usually you'll pick values around 0, and the book will tell you which values to pick. Okay. Okay. So negative 2, the absolute value of negative 2 is positive 2, and then plus 1 is 3. Absolute value of negative 1 is 1, plus 1 is 2. Absolute value of 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. Absolute value of 1 is 1, plus 1 is 2. Absolute value of 2 is 2, plus 1 is 3. Okay, so then we go to our XY plane. Here's my X, here's my Y. Need about 3 or 4 tick marks on each axis, or each arm of the particular axes. Going -2, -1, 2, and then up 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 1, 2, 3. Then -1, 1, 2. And then 0, 1. And then 1, 2. And then 2, 3. Okay. And then you connect your dots. And when you have these absolute value functions, they tend to look like V's. Okay. V as in Victor. Okay. Some notes on using your calculator then. For graphing. First, for the viewing window, that's sort of the screen you'll see when you go to plot these things on these nice new calculators they have for you. Okay. You'll have some sort of Y max, Y min, X max, X min, that you could put into your viewing window. There should be a place where you can put in these values and then go and look at what you have. There's also an X scale and Y scale, and the X scale and Y scale are just the tick marks that you'll find on each particular axis. You want to be careful when you're doing this, because sometimes you'll miss the important bits of the function. So you can imagine having some graph, and you're kind of looking at it maybe in this window, and it looks like this, but you may be missing the important part, right? So maybe it does something like this over here, and then it zips up like that. Okay? And maybe you wanted to zoom in over here. Well, you'd have to change the X min, the X max, so that it's appropriate. So maybe you want to see this part of it. So you just have to be careful. Okay? And sometimes zooming in and zooming out can affect your graph as well. Okay. And then, of course, there's tables in your calculator as well. So they have big T tables, and you have to put in your information and figure out kind of. So it'll do a T table for you, in other words. Okay. So just some small notes there. One thing in this section is finding intercepts. So you could use your calculator to find intercepts. Basically, the intercepts are where the graph crosses the particular axes. Okay, so we'll work algebraically trying to find these later, but they are sort of introduced here. So there's an x-intercept, and this is where your graph crosses the x-axis. So a particular example, we have our friend the parabola, and it's crossing the x-axis in 2 places there. Then the y-intercept, of course, is where it crosses the y-axis. Okay, so the same graph crosses the y-axis at that point. Okay, so the book will have you identify some x and y intercepts just visually. Probably, I don't know if they have any where they're using the calculator, but okay. So that's 1.1.